Diesel plays a trick. It was a busy time for the engines on the Fat Controller's railway. Goods trains had to be delivered from one station to another. The engines were kept busy, going backwards and forwards with trucks and coaches full of all types of cargo. Some engines had to help their friends by being their back engine, and some had to double header. The engines were so busy that they ended up feeling tired and worn out. One evening, the Fat Controller came to see the engines at Titmo's sheds. "I'm very proud of all of you today," he said, "but there is far too much work for all of you to do, so I'm going to have to bring in help from the other railway." "Yes, sir," said the engines. They were worried. They weren't sure who else could help out with the extra work. The next morning, the engines all waited for the Fat Controller. They hoped he had brought in another engine to help. Then the Fat Controller arrived. He had some news for them. "I have some bad news for all of you," he said. "Oh no!" cried Percy. "What's the problem?" asked Edward. "There are no other engines available," the Fat Controller sighed, "so Diesel is going to have to help out." The engines were very disappointed to hear this. "Oh no!" they groaned. "This is going to be a bad day," moaned James. "If only there was another engine to help us instead of Diesel," said Thomas. "I don't know if I can put up with Diesel today," groaned Emily. "Diesel is nothing but trouble," huffed Gordon, and all of the engines agreed. Later, Diesel rattled into Knapford Yards. His train of stone were waiting in the siding. He had to deliver it to the seaside station near Bluff's Cove. Diesel backed up to his trucks. Murdoch was close by. He was taking on water for his next trip. He wasn't pleased to see Diesel. "That train has to reach the station on time," he said, "so don't be late." "Yes, Murdoch, of course, Murdoch," sneered Diesel. Then, as soon as he was coupled up to the train, Diesel set off out of the yards. Murdoch watched as Diesel left the yards with the train. He was concerned. "I hope nothing goes wrong," he thought to himself. "The last thing we want is trouble." Diesel was soon rolling along the line. He felt very pleased to be working. "I'll show the Fat Controller that diesel engines are more superior," he smiled. "Those silly steam engines will learn that the hard way by the time I'm finished." Diesel approached the junction. He had to stop at a signal. Diesel slowed to a stop and he waited to go. He wasn't alone for long. Duck chuffed alongside. He was pulling passengers to Tidmouth Hold Station. Duck wasn't happy to see Diesel at all. "Why are you here?" he asked. "You steam engines need help," said Diesel, "so I've been brought to help out." "Well, you just stay out of trouble," cautioned Duck, "otherwise the Fat Controller will be cross." "I will," oiled Diesel. Then Duck's signal changed to green. "How many times have we all heard that?" he muttered. Duck puffed away with his train. This made Diesel a little cross. "I was here first," he groaned. "Diesels always go first." Then he heard a loud rattle coming from behind. It was Gordon. He raced past the junction with the express train. "Express train coming through," he whistled. Diesel was very cross. He was starting to get impatient. He tooted his horn to the signalman. "Why have I got to wait?" he called. "Be patient," called the signalman. "You must wait until your line is clear." Diesel didn't want to wait. He wanted to get going. Then he had a very naughty idea. "I'll go on to the next line," he thought to himself. "Then I can make it to the station on time." Just then, Oliver arrived. He was taking passengers to the mountain village. He wasn't happy to stop beside Diesel. "I'm afraid you'll have to wait a while," said Diesel. "I've been here longer than you, so I have to go first." Oliver didn't like this at all. It depends which train is the most important, he boasted. Passengers are more important. You're just carrying dusty old stones. I was here first, moaned Diesel. Then Oliver's signal changed to green. Oliver was pleased to be going on his way again, but before Oliver could move his wheels, Diesel saw his chance. He revved his engine and raced onto Oliver's line. Oliver was surprised when he saw what had happened. He blew his whistle loudly. That's my line, he shouted. Stop! The signalman shouted, but Diesel had already disappeared around the bend. He has got to be stopped, called Oliver's driver. Diesel raced along the line as fast as he could. He was determined to make up for lost time. Now I can show those smelly pipes on the wheels who's more useful around here, he smirked. He rounded the bend and saw a level crossing gate in his way. A lorry was waiting to cross over, but Diesel didn't want to stop. I'm not going to wait again, he growled, and he charged for the level crossing. The lorry driver quickly stopped the lorry and he watched as Diesel broke through the level crossing. The gates burst open and the signalman shouted and angrily shook his fists. The lorry driver tooted his horn loudly. The signalman ran to his telephone and quickly rang the next station. Diesel and the trucks have got to be stopped, he explained. Or you turn the fat controller, said the station master, or you let the nearest junction know the situation. Diesel soon reached another set of signals. Rosie was there. She was delivering a train of milk to the chocolate factory. She was having a wonderful day. The signalman came out to see Diesel. You wait right there, said the signalman sternly. Rosie has to go first. Diesel was very annoyed with this, but Rosie was pleased to hear this.
Looks like you'll have to wait,
she sniggered.
My milk train is needed for the chocolate that's being made right now.
Diesel just stared at Rosie. He wasn't impressed with her work at all. Rosie whistled cheerfully to the signalman. Then, as by surprise, the signal changed to green.
Hooray!
Cheered Rosie. But Diesel saw his chance. He quickly crossed onto Rosie's line and raced into the distance. Rosie was furious.
You silly locomotive!
She shouted.
You nearly caused an accident!
The signalman quickly ran to the telephone to make a rather hasty phone call. Diesel roared along the line as fast as he could. His wheels spun fast and his engine made such a noise that the birds in the sky couldn't be heard. Up ahead was a crossing. Engines have to stop to let other engines go through. Then they can cross as soon as the train has gone through. Diesel raced towards the crossing, determined to get through it first. But Diesel didn't know that Donald and Douglas were approaching a crossing on the other track. They were double-heading a goods train together. They had no idea that Diesel was approaching the crossing. Donald whistled loudly to let the signalman know they were coming. Diesel heard this. No you don't, he growled. He raced faster and was soon nearing the junction. Donald gasped when he saw Diesel and his train. Stop! He shouted. We have to go first! But Diesel paid no attention. It's not stopping! Shouted Donald. Put your brakes on! Cried Douglas. Donald and Douglas's drivers applied their brakes as hard as they could, but it was too late. Diesel rolled right past and Donald crashed right into the last two trucks. Stones flew out of the trucks and broke onto the ground. Dust went everywhere and covered Donald and his crew in stone dust. Luckily no one was hurt, but Donald, the trucks and the brake van had come off the tracks. The guard who had jumped clear from the brake van came to survey the wreckage. Diesel had stopped when he heard the crash. He was very surprised to see his trucks off the tracks. But before he could say anything to anyone, the fat controller's car pulled up. He was so furious his face was nearly red. Diesel, you have been a complete hazard on my railway! He shouted. You cut right in front of Oliver and Rosie at the stations, and you damaged the level crossing gates. You nearly could have injured the lorry driver. Diesel shuddered. He couldn't think of anything to say. Look what you've done to Donald. It will take ages to clear this mess up, the Fat Controller went on. You will stay here and clear up the mess. Then you will go back and fix the level crossing gates. After that, I shall have no choice but to send you back to the other railway. I shall let your controller know what you've done. Harvey and the breakdown crane soon arrived to clear up the mess.
Winches and cables, he cried. What's happened here?
Ask Diesel, sulked Donald. Here caused this mess, added Douglas. Harvey decided not to ask and went straight to work. It took a long time to clear up the mess. The trucks were soon rescued and the workmen rescued what stone they could. Diesel hated this job. He just sulked as the work went on, but nobody took any notice of him. Then came the hard job, lifting Donald back onto the tracks. The breakdown crane lifted Donald off the ground and gently lowered him back onto dry tracks. Donald heaved a sigh of relief, but his driver had bad news. All the fleets that crashed knocked out your fire, he said. We'll have to send you to be mended. Oh no, cried Donald. I shall get Murdoch to help you, said the signalman, and you, Diesel, can go and fix the level crossing gates. Diesel rattled away without saying sorry. When Murdoch arrived to help Donald to the workstation, Douglas followed on and soon the crossing was clear. Then Toby puffed onto the scene. The Fat Controller sends me to collect the stone trucks, he said. Thank you, Toby, said the signalman, but you better hurry, and don't worry, the station master knows you will be late. So Toby buffered up to the train and he was coupled up. Come on, Toby, said his driver, let's get going. Toby rang his bell goodbye and he set off for the seaside station. Toby was worried about the train being late. Steady there, Toby, comforted his driver, we'll make it there. At last, tired and exhausted, he reached the station. The station master was pleased to see him. Sorry we're late, sir, puffed Toby. Don't worry, said the station master. You're here now, and that's the important thing. Thank you, Toby. Toby smiled. He gave a happy ring of his bell. That evening, Diesel was on his way home. He had fixed everything he had broken and was now sulking down the line. He was pleased to be going home, but was cross that he didn't get to make his delivery. But I think he deserved to be punished. Don't you?